If you want to really deal with somebody, the first thing you do with that person, you'll make sure that person na dondi. So within Nigerian presidents, the previous one take hold Nigerians than they be dondi. So check some of our grandfathers, our grandmothers, the problems we be say they get before they even come pass away. Maybe say they don't understand what it be civilization, freedom, and how to achieve also the freedom. Let me quickly remind you of something. There is no way somebody will give you a voice when you don't voice with your own voice. There is no way you can achieve freedom without not asking for it. There is no way you can get a promotion without not working for it. So what Nigeria is fighting for today, they are not just doing it for themselves. Most Nigerians that are fighting today say we cannot go on like this. They're not doing it for themselves. They are doing it for that of their own born children and that of their children. So watch this video that will teach you more about civilization and why Chimamanda has the voice, because she has the education.
Tonight, the matchlessly brilliant, award-winning author Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. You could describe her as Nigeria's international superpower celebrity novelist, and you wouldn't go amiss, because her career is littered with the world's major literary prizes. But beyond her phenomenal talent, which is there for all to see, Chimamanda Adichie has followed the tradition of Africa's literary giants before her, becoming, to some extent, the conscience of her troubled nation, speaking out fearlessly against injustice, corruption, the harsh realities of electoral malpractice, and what she calls Nigeria's hollow democracy. And to use her words, the brewing rage and smouldering disillusionment over the failure of that democracy to capture the true voice of the people. But as she tries to transform the narrative by writing an open letter to the US President Joe Biden, published in the Atlantic Daily, about, as she put it, the unacceptably and unforgivably flawed 2023 presidential election, how much is that chronicle resonating within and outside Nigeria? I'll be joined from our studios in Lagos by the critically acclaimed Nigerian author Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. Plus, we have our top-tier analysts who will help us assess the news and issues of the day. I'm Charles Anyegolu, and this is Arise Primetime, published by the Atlantic Daily, and in it she raises questions about Bola Tinubu's election victory and wonders why America is congratulating the winner of what she refers to as Nigeria's disastrous ballot. So, as you might have guessed, in the wake of that powerful scratch, she's been vilified by some and praised by others as a herald of truth. With award-winning author Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. Chimamanda, thank you very much indeed for joining us, and I apologize for the stress you had to go through getting to the studio. I understand it's pouring buckets in Lagos and there's the snarling up of traffic. So thank you very much for joining us.
No, I should apologize. I should have left, knowing Lagos, of course, I should have left on time, so I should apologize.
Well, the most important thing is that you're here. So let's get straight into it, because you called the 2023 presidential election a slap to the face of the Nigerian people and insults to the collective intelligence of Nigerians. Tell us why you see it that way.
Well, I see that when I wrote that letter, because I think it's important to preserve the truth. Right? I think that when something like this happens in a country, it's really important to tell the story of what happened. One of my favorite poems has this line, it's by Robert Lowell, and it says, "And yet, why not say what happened?" So I wanted to say what happened. And what happened is that this was an election that was really unforgivably flawed. And there's evidence for that. And I felt it was important to say that. But also, I wanted to call out the US for what I consider a kind of two-facedness when it comes to Africa. So, the US has a long history of complicity in, sort of non-democratic elections on this continent. So recently in Congo, 2 or 3 years ago, they endorsed an election that was an absolute sham. But then the same US will turn around and criticize Congo for not being democratic. And so my point was to say, be what you say you are, right? You cannot criticize African countries for being undemocratic while at the same time endorsing something that is quite self-evidently undemocratic.
Well, that's a good point. But just delving deeper into your letter, you were quite categorical in saying that the electoral process was imperiled not by technical shortcomings, but by deliberate manipulation. Is there enough evidence in your assessment to support that claim?
Yes, and I think maybe the most glaring is that we Nigerians all saw these mutilated election sheets, right? We all saw them. We saw polling unit agents talking about how what they had from the polling unit was not what was then announced formally, officially, or uploaded formally, officially. And I think for me, that's a really striking reason and an example of how this election was not about technical glitches. And can we also realize that Nigeria is full of very bright young people in tech? There's no reason for that excuse of technical glitch. And the other question then is, if it was a technical glitch, why was it possible for most people to upload the results of the other federal elections, but not the presidential? And I think most of all is that there's just been this resounding unfortunate silence from INEC and from the chair of INEC. I think Nigerians deserve the respect of an institution that's supposed to shepherd their democracy. So nobody's come out to explain to Nigerians how that happened. There's a statement about technical glitches. It's unconvincing. And knowing how much hope and trust that Nigerians invested in this election, knowing that Nigeria is a low-trust society, means, I think, that if people really are sincere and there's really nothing to hide, then you make an extra effort to go out and explain to Nigerians what happened.
Yes, that certainly makes a lot of sense to a lot of people. But in reacting to your letter, and some of the things that you said in it, the APC have suggested that you were not in Nigeria during the election and you did not vote, and therefore should not make categorical statements about an election you did not witness. What's your reaction to that?
Well, I don't think it's very useful criticism. I should say, first of all, that I've never been fazed by criticism. I mean, I wrote this, of course, knowing fully well that there would be criticism from certain quarters. And I've seen a few things people have sent to me, and it's kind of been amusing to read the juvenile fulminations of non-juvenile people.